must transcend. The journey's here, it won't just end. We'll break the chains and make it right, and fill the ancient world with light. Forget the dull and slow. The truth is deeper, watch it grow. 10 lessons strong, a powerful climb. Now step outside of linear time. We start where the spirits rise and stand, the land that are sacred to man. We chart the soul in every part, the journey of the living heart. The hoover's thought, the hammer's bright, from doctrine we escape. The filter guides, the hamming just might reclaiming what is right. The knitting memories wide well, the cosmic stories that we tell. The Om's breath, the other's ecstatic force, charting the spirit's course. Hear them sing as Odin's Gungnir ring. The Urlug's lair deep and strong, where we truly belong. The weird that binds us clear and plain, through sunshine and through rain. We're tearing down the wicked veil, that monotheistic shame. We shed the shadow of the Christ and speak the nature's name. These are not angels, not demons, not a single trinity. The gods are forces in the wind, pure animistic energy. We claim the knowledge old and vast, the wisdom of the past, the power that belongs to you, a truth that's built to last. We find the truth where knowledge sits, the tree the searching mind submits. The Yggdrasil, the cosmic form, protecting from the cosmic storm. With Odin's mind, the thought to find the vital purpose we must find. On Sleipnir he must ride and go, the seed of wisdom he must sow. We chase the thunder sharp and loud, above the misty gratings cloud. The primal force, the Thor we know, and watch the structure start to grow. The chaos that attempts to strike, the cunning of the light. The Loki trickster, swift and smart, that breaks the structured rigid part. The balance shown and sits right here, the vital family they share. Now sail the sea with brother, sister, nothing could be vaster. Freya and Freyr in sight, filling the soul with light. Across the waves the ships they fly, beneath the open sky. We enter Folkvanger's sacred ground, where souls are truly found. We know freest power, fierce and true, for me and also you. We journey deep where shadows creep while laying in our sleep, to the domain of hell's vast home, where tired spirits roam. The neutral ground where balance sits, the place where no one quits. We climb the gilded shining wall, responding to the spirit's call, where Valhalla takes its final place, a dedicated space. The wisdom learned is strong and deep, the promises we keep. We're tearing down the wicked veil, that monotheistic shame. We shed the shadow of the Christ and speak the nature's name. These are not angels, not demons, not a single trinity. The gods are forces in the wind, pure animistic energy. We claim the knowledge fierce and true, the wisdom of the past, the power that belongs to you, a truth that's built to last. Now hear the horn, the final sound, where truth can now be found. The sentinel, the mighty Heimdall, he watches for the fall. His 9 mothers mark the birth, the highest point on earth. He built the soul, he stands so tall, protecting one and all. He is the ultimate defense, the power made immense, the immune system of the mind, the greatest of his kind.
So sing this song, remember well, the power you can tell. The gods are forces, processes, they live within our consciousness. Look to the world with ancient eyes, where truth forever lies. We are the animals reborn, greeted by the morn. We live the meaning of the myths, fulfilling all our gifts.
truth that's built to last.
Welcome in, welcome in. Hope you all had a good last 2 weeks. We've been off for a little bit, but that's okay, right? Anyways, we're going to get into some fun ones. We're going back into talking about more gods because we finally got past all the spirit stuff and all that other stuff, the laws of the Ordlugs and, the weird and all that. Now we're over here. So we got your divine forces that we're going to talk about today. You got Thor, you got his hammer Mjölnir. We're going to briefly touch back over on Gungnir. We did talk about it. It wasn't technically supposed to be in Lesson 4, but I felt it was more appropriate in Lesson 4, so we'll just do a refresher on Gungnir for Lesson 5. And then, of course, everybody's favorite and most misunderstood, Loki. Gotta love Loki. And thank you to my wife for doing this whiteboard. We all owe her that so that you guys can, kind of read it, get a overview, sort of follow along with that. But if you need or want to follow along with the actual document that I have it in the description below. I also have a song for Lesson 5, also in the description below. All of the source links of the sagas and other just documents below in the description to where you can reference back to stuff that pretty much supports this stuff. So, going over Thor. He is the life force in the protective field. He and his function and link to destiny is the essential sustaining energy that protects life with, from the cosmic chaos of the Jotnar, the giants, right? Provides the raw strength, i.e. your hammer, good strong strength, and how that strength acts. Buddy, where are you going? You going on an adventure? My little boy wanted all this water. He's like, I want the putty a lot. So he hopped off the couch because he saw Mom was going to go make it. And he was like, wah! Without the noise, right? Anyways. And then we're going to go into Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, right? This is the heartbeat and core vitality. The engine that powers your Ond as well. Its activation symbolizes the beginning of the complete 8-part soul using... Mjolnir is also used as a ritual blessing for fertility and rebirth. Usually you'll see in animistic cultures, they'll use like a hammer to bless the newborn coming into life. I really wish I could figure out what's going on with the camera that's going, because that's probably annoying for you guys. And then Gungnir, we went over this last week. It's your will and intent, the ancestor cord. It's so since it never misses its mark, right? It can be seen and interpreted as the umbilical cord, or your will of intent. Like it always makes its mark. But in the description here, direct action, symbolic of a focused thought or will that always hits a target, representing the challenge for transferring your orlog, past consequences to the new self, as well as the umbilical cord of life that attaches the fetus to the womb. For that whole cycle of rebirth process. And we'll go down to Loki here. Loki, the catalyst and spark of change, also known as Logi, but Loki's etymology is very closely linked to Logi. The essence, disruptive force that prevents stagnation, initiates all major transitions within weird or life, anything that we go through, both creation and destruction. So like creation through Sleipnir, or it all allows Sleipnir to do Sleipnir things, as well as the destruction. Like he's the triggerer of Ragnarok, right? If you've ever listened to the myths, it's Loki who tricks Baldur's brother. Why can't I remember his name right now? It starts with an H. Man, I'm gonna look really stupid not remembering it. Just kind of you get those moments. Anyways, he tricks the blind brother to throw a dart of mistletoe because he can't partake. Hodir, that's right, Hodir. Wow, that's silly of me. Anyways, Loki tricks Hodir to throw a mistletoe dart, striking Baldur in the heart. That triggers the starting events for all of Ragnarok to happen. Right. So, anyways, the summary of the mechanisms for all of this. To achieve self-mastery, the individual must exist by maintaining Thor, your life force, be driven by your Mjölnir, your heartbeat, act with Gungnir, focused will, and grow through Loki, embracing changes that happen, be they good changes or bad changes. If you can adjust and adapt to these good changes or the bad changes, you're going to survive in life, even regardless of what Loki throws at you. So on to the first part. So if I will say, if you go and you look at, so this is segment 2 for me, but in the link, it's different because I went in and modified it after I printed this out, so it's a little different in the link that you guys get. It's more updated. Lesson 5, Thor, the cosmic life force and protection. What is Thor? Thor is the primary personification of vital energy and the divine embodiment of Aunt. Remember that one we talked about? You're the breath of life, right? So this means the life force that defends the existence of Midgard or Earth. His various identities are unified metaphors for sustaining and protective forces of the animistic world. I'm going to give a more, I don't want to mess with that because it's going to take this forever. So basically, I'm going to give a better rundown of it. Thor is your life force, right? So by being your life force, it's the energy, and not just for us, it's the life force within plants. Sorry, I got to pop up. It's the life force within the mountains, the trees, earth, all of that. It's also the magnetic fields that is within the magnetic energy that creates the magnetic field. It's that life force. So a good example of you being able to see that life force, you take your finger, for those that aren't blind, right? You take your finger, you poke your eye right there. You see that electricity that's bouncing around on there? You can see those lines. You can actually kind of see it, which is why Thor gets related to electricity. He's that energy that's built in with all of us. We all have this energetic field. Now, with it being a magnetic energy field, it transfers into magnetic field. It's literally so Earth, like Thor was a protector of man, right? So he looked after all of us and he protected all of us. And it kind of blows my mind that our ancestors were able to figure this out about him, about the world that we live in. One of the good examples of Thor being protector of man is because Thor is that energetic field, that life force. It also creates that magnetic field, which I've talked about that. Everything around us has some sort of gravitational magnetic pull, right? But with that, it also creates a barrier around things. Earth has this magnetic field. We all learned about it really early in elementary school. It's that little candy-looking thing that we had to draw out where you got your north and south poles and the rays and the circle. So that's Thor, right? And he protects us from the rays of the sun. That's where I was like, whoa, our ancestors understood this. This is kind of crazy. Because they didn't have science back then like this, like what we have today. But they knew things that were, they didn't fully understand what it was. That's how they came up with what the names we got. But it's just incredible to me that how well they knew them. If you hear my dogs, that is my dog, I think Freya, who is not Freya. Man, I haven't had Freya in like a while. That's Bella. Oh, wow. She's a happy dog for the food she got. Now she wants to use the bathroom. But she will get to do it. She had her opportunity. Anyways, moving along here. So that's the basic rundown of Thor. Is he's your magnetic field, your life force, all that jazz together. Yes, you need to alter that, please. Now, why does Thor exist? Thor exists to enforce the principle of defensive stability and sustain our existence, ensuring that the basic conditions are met for human life and destiny weird to unfold. So again, it's the whole basis of basically what I said. He's there to protect us. That's why he's the protector of man. He's there to ensure that we continue to thrive. The plants, trees, all of them continue to thrive. How does Thor function? Relevance to past lessons, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I put that there. I shouldn't have read that. That was just a mental note for me. Thor's function is to serve as the divine temple for the individual's spiritual capacity for strength, protection, and righteous action. Mirroring the hammer, Thor's legendary strength is the celestial mode for the human spiritual component known as the Hamir, or Ham, right? Form soul. The berserkers becoming Hamimrar. I can never pronounce that one. Hamrammer. Why is that so hard for me to pronounce? Hamrammer. Hamrammer. I've never been able to do that one. This is why I speak English and not another language. Also known as hammerstrung. By channeling the spiritual forces of an animal is direct ritualistic mirroring of Thor's overwhelming raw strength. This ability is a human manifestation of Thor's cosmic power. Whew. This fire is toasty. Very warm fire today. Anyways, we're just going to skip over to Mjölnir because we pretty much spent a whole 16 minutes on Thor, and we got other things to get to. I have 4 things total. But I think you guys get the basic point. Yeah, you get the basic point of what Thor is. He's the life force, the magnetic energy, the energy field within us. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so we're going to move on to Mjölnir because you cannot have your life force without the heartbeat. The driving, lesson 5, segment 3, blah, blah, blah. Mjölnir, the driving power of life. The hammer Mjölnir is not a weapon of war, but the ultimate metaphor for the driving power of life within an individual. It is the necessary engine for the life force. You know, Thor. He needs that Mjölnir to be able to protect, right? Beat giants, be like, bam, 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 bam. Anyways, what is Mjölnir? It's basically, I don't need this. I don't know why I keep relying on it. So basically, Mjölnir is your heartbeat. So back in the day, the old days of our ancestors, they could feel that, we can still feel it, right? You can feel that beat, right? Well, they obviously, with all the slaughter, then, pull out that heart, be like, wow, that's amazing. Well, it's about the size of, say, I don't know, what was the old hammer they used to have? A rock. It's about the same size of a rock that you used to hammer. But it also, when you hammered with a thing, a rock, it'd be like, boom, 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 or boom, boom, boom. That's with us. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Anyways, so Mjölnir is essential to Thor. Your heartbeat is essential for your life, right? Super important. So that's where all of that goes into. I'm hoping if I can speed this up, I can just, have this as a quick lesson because I have other things I need to do tonight. That's mostly it. I'll just go over this really fast. I guess I'll read the top parts, and if you guys want, you can go into the bottom sections that I've written up here. What is Mjölnir? Mjölnir is the personification of the rhythmic, pulsing energy required for Ond, the breath of life, to be contained and expressed. Its original root is crusher or grinder, pointing to a primal mechanical action. The heartbeat. Mjölnir universally represents the heart or the heartbeat, just as Thor, the life force, is powerless without his hammer. The body has no vitality without its pulse. This makes the hammer the functional core that drives the Ond, life force, through the living entity. Historically, the hammer was used not for combat, but as a blessing tool in ceremonies like marriage, birth, ensuring health and fertility. This use confirms its role as the source of regenerative power, capable of sanctifying and restarting life, because you cannot have life without that heartbeat, right? We all have a heart, and if our heart stops, we die. And when we die, we're not alive, and then we're zombies. Brains. Anyways. The stone/rock. I actually kind of already talked about this. The hammer is often referred to simply as stone or rock. This primal connection suggests a very ancient, enduring source of power that predates modern I can never pronounce this word, metallurgy or whatever, and links the life-giving pulse to the fundamental hard elements of Earth or Midgard. Why does Mjölnir exist? Mjölnir exists to activate and maintain the segmented self and to act as the key mechanism in the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The trio of creation in the myths, Mjölnir is received by the gods at the same time as the ring Draupnir, which we already went over Draupnir, the soul ring, representing the soul's aspects, and the pig Gullinborsti, which we will talk about in the future, but it's basically your feudal form. This parallel symbolizes the moment in the womb when the heart Mjölnir is activated, simultaneously with the physical form of Gullinborsti and the full spectrum of the soul Draupnir. It is the beginning of the complete self, the weakness as the lifeline. Mjölnir's only flaw is its short shaft. This is a metaphor for the shortness of the human's lifespan. Because our lifespans are, in reality of the world, it's pretty short. Where was I at? Lifespan. The heart, the source of life, has a finite capacity and a limited time to beat. This flaw is a fixed part of Orlog, fixed destiny, that even the gods cannot change. Even the gods cannot change how long our lifespan is through Mjölnir. It is a thing that will eventually expire. I like this fire. How does Mjölnir function? Mjölnir functions as the engine of life, linking the spiritual components of the self to the physical. Engines of the 8 rings. As the central heartbeat, Mjölnir ensures the distribution of ond, your breath of life, so that the oxygen, right, that you're breathing in, that's your ond, right, allowing the different aspects of the soul, the 8 rings discussed in lesson 1 and 2, to function cohesively. It is the rhythm that unites Hugur, Hammer, Fjöga, and all the others. Role in death and rebirth. The Þrymskviða myth. Man, I hate saying some of these words. The myth where the Jotun steals Mjölnir represents death. Matter of fact, I just talked to somebody about this one because I actually got this all mixed up in a different. Anyways, this is the one where Thor's hammer gets stolen and he has to go wear a dress and get it back. Blah blah blah. A very important character in there that's often overlooked is Heimdall, and that is at the end of all 10 of these lessons. 9 of these lessons, he is the 10th lesson. That is my own theory. And I cannot wait to show you guys, talk to you guys about my theory. It kind of breaks through everything, and it really puts all of this stuff into perspective, and it makes Heimdall not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Mysterious and contradicting. Yeah. Anyways, where was I? Steals Mjölnir represents death. Okay, the myth where the Jotun steals Mjölnir represents death. The heart is lost, and the life force, Thor, is paralyzed. The subsequent recovery of the hammer through trickery and metamorphosis, I don't know why I was using that M as an F. Metamorphosis is the process of rebirth and reincarnation, showing that the beat must be recovered for life to resume. All right. We're going to briefly go over segment 4 of Gungnir because we really mentioned that more in the previous lesson, just because I kind of needed to at the time. But lesson 5, segment 4, Gungnir, the cord of will and wisdom. Because this is going to be the side that's not fully focused on the umbilical cord side of things. This is more of like your focused will, your intent, all of that. If you have focused will, your will, your intent to want to do something is always there. If that makes any sense. The spear Gungnir is the metaphor for the forces of connection, direction, and intentional will that govern the transmission of knowledge and the soul. Its name, the swaying one, describes its motion and fluidity. What is Gungnir? I should also briefly, the swaying one is also a direct reference to Odin hanging from the tree to gain the ruins, where he ended up stabbing himself with his spear, right? But he's hanging there, and he's probably swaying. Yeah, anyways. What is Gungnir? Gungnir represents the targeted, sharp flow of intelligence and the physical cord of life that links past, present, and future. The umbilical cord. One primary interpretation is that Gungnir represents, which is one I strongly believe in, by the way, represents the umbilical cord. This cord is the physical link that transfers the memories, energy, and ancestral wisdom, the fixed past of Orlog, from the tree Yggdrasil, i.e., it's connected to the placenta, right, into the newly formed individual, the fetus, or your Goldenbursty. The sharp thought. The spear is also a metaphor for sharp thought, logic, and decisive will. The myth states that it will hit any target regardless of the wielder's skill. This means that a pure, focused thought or intention will always find its way, regardless of the individual's hamingyo, your luck. But it also means it will always hit here, because anyone who's alive today has a belly button where the umbilical cord hit. Yeah! Alright. The ritual initiation. Gungnir is the instrument of Odin's self-sacrifice to himself, wounding him while hanging on the tree. See, I already talked about that, right? Woo, the swaying one. This spear is the act of self-inflicted discipline required to gain profound knowledge, linking suffering directly to wisdom. Get it, got it, good. You have to put yourself through hardship to learn shit. Self-explanatory enough? I hope everybody understands that. Why does Gungnir exist? Gungnir exists to provide the necessary direction and focus, the spiritual and physical vector for the Hugr to achieve its goals. Anyways, direction of weird. While the Norns weave the threads of weird, Gungnir represents the focused intent that directs those threads. It is the principle that a well-aimed and true will can overcome obstacles, embodying the necessary concentration for conscious action, transferring of your Orlog. The concept of the umbilical cord transferring energy and memory directly connects the individual's birth to the vast sweep of Orlog. The individual is born with the accumulative wisdom and consequences of the past. You got it? Okay. How does Gungnir function? This is the relevance to past lessons that we've talked about. Gungnir functions as the connecting point for knowledge and the intentional direction of the self. I'm pretty hammering away at this. I'm hoping you guys are figuring that out. Weapon of the Hugr. Gungnir is Odin's primary tool, since Odin is the embodiment of Hugr, thought and will, from our past lesson. The spear is the physical expression of will. The self-Hugr uses concentrated focus, Gungnir, to pierce through illusion and affects the world. So that's a fun one. Odin needs it to do things. You need it to do things. Oh, man. You gotta love it when my boy drops his phone. Starting the cosmic conflict. The Vanir and the Aesir war is initiated by Odin throwing Gungnir over the enemy. This represents the ultimate lesson that decisive action driven by focused will is the catalyst for all major conflicts and changes, both divine and personal. Connection to the Havamal. The runes carved into the spear's tip reflect the idea that knowledge is power and that the wisdom is a functional tool. The self must acquire the wisdom of the Havamal to direct its will and effectively weave weird. Listening to the Havamal, reading the Havamal, really important. There's a lot of lessons in there. I'd probably get a more updated and interpreted for modern day usage Havamal. Jason Savage, actually, his Discord's linked below. A lot of cool people in there. Jason Savage actually has one for sale. He calls it the Modern Havamal. So anybody who wants to have the lessons in the Havamal applied to today's current modern life, highly recommend it. So yeah. And let's go. Let's do the last one. It's Loki. We gotta love Loki. So this is where things get real interesting. Loki, the catalyst of change. Loki is the final essential piece of all of these mechanics that we're going to talk about today. The metaphor for instigating force of change and the unpredictable spark necessary for all transitions, whether positive or destructive. What is Loki? Loki is the vital, chaotic principle that initiates motion, growth, and decay. He is the spark that prevents all things, including the gods, from settling into stagnation. So without him, I think it would kind of get really boring. We'd all just get really comfortable, like, cool. I know some of us would be like, man, I'd really like it just to be like, man, this is cool. But then you throw Loki in the mix, and like, damn it, now I got to change things up. And perfect example of Loki is the stuff I just had to go through. With changing a job. I changed a job because, I was comfortable, life was going good, and then bullcrap happened that really negatively impacted me, which I didn't even get a choice, really. I didn't get fired. I just was like, financially, I can't keep working here because y'all cut my hours so much. So I was like, I have to change. Well, now I've changed, and I adapted. And you know what? The new schedule, I have a feeling that my new schedule with my new job that paid equal to where I was before I got the cut, I think it's going to work out better with the family because now I come home, I'm there in the morning when my wife and my son wake up, I can have breakfast with them, I have more hours with them in the day of the week, and so I embraced the change of Loki. So not every bad thing has to stay as a bad thing. If you embrace the bad, you get some good. Right? Loki. He's not always bad. You got to understand that. I mean, heck, you want to have Mjölnir without Loki. You want to have Sleipnir without Loki. You want to have Gungnir without Loki. You want to have Draupnir without Loki. He is everything, right? Loki is super important. Hey, Steve, how you doing? So, what is Loki? Blah, blah, blah. Stagnation. Okay. The spark of Loki. His name is often connected to Logi, also meaning fire or flame. Loki is the small spark or ember, the little fire, that ignites the grand blaze. He is not the change itself, but the necessary instigating force that starts the process, whether the result is creation or conflagration or destruction, right? The catalyst. A catalyst is a substance that speeds up the reaction without being consumed by it. Loki is this metaphorical agent. He does not perform the major acts like stealing Mjolnir or killing Balder, but his initial trickery instigates the change of events that leads to a major transformation, right? He is the one who went up to Holdir and was like, here, have this dart, throw it straight. And Holdir throws it straight. Hits Balder in the heart, kills him. Loki didn't kill him, although a lot of people will say Loki killed him, but it was Holdir, right? Air and fire. His parentage is a male giant who represents a flint striker, lightning. Or lightning? Yeah, lightning. Wow, I can't read that. I've had too much ale. And a mother who represents foliage or needles, fuel. The spark and the tinder box. You like? Hey, look, Loki. The union of the spark and the kindling creates the forces of Loki, who is also referred to as a lopped air, the medium that spreads the fire. Why does Loki exist? Loki exists because stagnation is death. You have that? Have you ever heard of those people? They work. They're really freaking old, and you're like, how is that person still working? There's a great story about some old dude, right? He's 90 or 100 years old, whatever. He was working, and somebody goes, why are you working? He's like, because this is my purpose. If I don't do it, who will? That kind of idea is there's a lot of people who they work and then they retire. And shortly after they retire, they pass away. Because they didn't have something going on, they got comfortable, and they just kind of settled, they didn't do anything, they got very stagnant, and then boom, gone. Steve's not had enough. Well, skull, my brother. Got a bunch more in the fridge of the good shit. I think I have 3 more Natty Daddies if you want one after this. Just one, not all of them. You could use use some more. I think we all could use some more. Drinks of that. Oh. Hopefully I don't get this taken down on YouTube. They're mixed results about alcohol use and stuff. At least I'm not using a firearm. Why does Loki exist? Loki exists because stagnation is death. I already said that part. The animistic cosmos requires a force of disorder and change to drive evolution, rebirth, and the continuous renewal of your rear. Driving Odin will. Odin swore an oath to Loki that he would never drink ale without I skipped a line. Without Loki being present. Yeah, he will not drink without Loki. Loki has to be there. This symbolizes the fact that the will, with Odin, cannot enter the ecstatic trance-like state Oder, who gained wisdom without the catalyst Loki. Change is necessary for transcendence and the ultimate knowledge, which means when I've talked about things with other people about you needing to be in a state of Oder to do certain things, like meditation travel, spiritual travel, to get into certain realms, like, we'll get into this one farther along. It's towards the very end. I think it's lesson 9 is Valhalla, but you don't always have to die in battle to get into Valhalla. You just need, this is a really big one, and this is like breaks people's brains. You just need to be in a state of Oder. If you're drinking and you die with Oder, hey, guess what? You're in a state of Oder. Valhalla, motherfuckers. Anyways, yeah, that's a oversimplified way to say that. So don't take it too much seriously. Wow, yeah. Positive change. The Sleipnir birth. Loki gave birth to the 8-legged horse Sleipnir, who's the soul's vehicle. Remember, the slippery one? He is the vehicle of transportation to take the Huger on the wild ride with their Oder across Yggdrasil. Yeah, see visions and dreams. Spiritual transport to new realms. Rebirth. Gotta love it. Anyways, man, I'm getting way more into Loki than I am anything else. The slippery one that carries the soul in and out of the body, as noted in our past lessons. This shows Loki is the necessary spark behind the genius of the greatest positive spiritual assets. We cannot transcend. We cannot do our meditations. We cannot have out-of-body experiences. We cannot have prophetic dreams without the spark of Loki. It is required because he is the father of Sleipnir. The fear of the life force. Loki fears only Thor and Mjölnir, the life force and the heartbeat. This is the key balance. Change fears being crushed by existence. So, Loki fears being crushed by existence. Thor, Mjölnir. We're on the same page of that? Yes, I technically mentioned that one where, okay, for those not being able to read the chat, Loki was the one who also instigated the dwarven contest that created Draupnir, right? Yes, he is. I mentioned that about 10 minutes ago. Without Loki, we wouldn't have Draupnir. We wouldn't have Mjolnir. We wouldn't have all of the, I think it was six golden artifacts that were created in that contest. So it's no, you're good. It's just, Loki is very important. And that was my story where with my job and everything, just because Loki is present doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Because Loki is the reason why so much good happens with the gods. The whole wall of protection for Asgard happens because of Loki. Because he told the giant, I bet you can't do it within this time period. And he's like, I bet I can. Okay, we'll wager on that. And if we can, or if you do, you get Freya and the sun. Yeah, I'll be done almost here shortly. I'm on the last guy. All right. So, Loki functions, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Loki's function is to be the ultimate disruptor of Orlog and the initiator of the most profound shifts in Weird. The ultimate Weird Weaver. Loki acts as the disruptive force on the weaving loom of Weird. He forces the gods and humanity into new actions, thereby creating new threads of destiny. Without Loki, Weird would simply repeat the patterns set by Orlog, and you'd have a very, very, very boring blanket. All right? This would be not detailed. It would be boring and singular color. Yeah. All right. Anyways. So I'm going to go to the lesson 5 conclusionary summary. So we're pretty much starting to finish this up. The divine mechanics are the ultimate spiritual laws that govern the self, weird, and alcohol and weird. We are defined, and the gods. I need to learn how to read, people. We defined the gods and their tools as fundamental forces of the self. The life forces, i.e. Thor, is powered by the heartbeat, Mjölnir, directed by will, Gungnir, and forced into motion by the catalyst of change, Loki. This framework explains the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, confirming that weird is not static. This will all be extremely important at the final lesson when we talk about Heimdall and my thesis on Heimdall, which I guarantee you, okay, I can't guarantee, I am fairly certain, I am very confident that my new approach to Heimdall is probably the way that our ancestors actually did it, because there's not a lot of information on Heimdall. Anyways, now that I've done that, I'm going to open up the floor. Anybody with questions, please feel free to ask your questions and we'll get through it, and then I'll pretty much close it up. I'll be doing this again next weekend, which it'll have to be a Sunday. It'll probably be either 6 or 7. I will announce it later. And we'll be going over Sif, and we'll go over Magni, Moldy, and Thruder, basically all of Thor's kids, as well as Sif next weekend. So anybody have any questions? We good? Y'all enjoy that? Anybody who hasn't caught up, go back. I have a bunch of these. How about Steve? Is Steve around? I'm glad that, did all of this make sense to you, by the way? Was it kind of off, confusing? There's feedbacks. And did you learn anything? That fire's almost down. All right, so with that, looks like everything's good. I'm going to go ahead and play the song for this lesson. If you want to hear the song repeatedly, go to my profile. I have a playlist called Prophecy. It's in there. Wait, hold on. Well, I'm glad that I taught you something new. I'm also really glad that you were reading along. Anyways, y'all have a good night and enjoy this song, please. By the way, I wrote all the lessons and I wrote all the lyrics to every one of these songs that's involved in this thing. So, enjoy. Come on, play.
Are you ready for more wisdom? Then take your seat and listen. The first gift of the Iser is the on that you own, a life-giving essence that is constantly sown. It's the spirit inside, the life-vital breath, protecting all mortals from the silence of death. This energy flows from the center of Midgard's core, a pulse that is felt to the land vector's shore. The wall of the world is the field of the brave, a powerful current that mortals must save. This magnetic shield is the force Thor defends. It repels all the chaos the Mjölnir it sends. The Vanir and Iser both fight for this great cause to uphold the creation and follow its firm laws. It's not just a weapon, the strength that it brings. It's the heart's mighty drumming, a truth to confess. The proof of your run in the moment of stress. The steady great rhythm of living and light is sounded by Mjölnir, day and through night. Now think of Odin's spear that flies ever true. It's the focus and will that directs what you do. Gungnir's intent is the thought that must steer the flowing of energy, escaping all fear. It's the ancestral core to the wisdom of old, a lineage of strength in the great stories untold. It never can miss as the story is spun, a spiritual anchor till your new life is run. The umbilical cord in the cosmic great plan, the power of all those who came before man. Feel Thor's magnetic shield that keeps all safe and sound. A true circle of power laid into the ground. Mjölnir is the rhythm, the beat of the soul. The ancestral core of Gungnir's intent takes back control. Loki's the spark who sets the whole cosmic scene. The constant disruption that keeps life so keen. Then Loki comes dancing, the spirit of wit, the catalyst turning the pieces to fit. He breaks every rule, he upsets every plan, but this change is required for the purpose of man. He forces the growth when things stall, they cease, the spark of all change that denies lazy peace. The wall was too perfect, the contract too tight. Loki broke the pattern to bring forth the light. The challenge he brought when he changed his own harm forced Thor to respond to the great cosmic harm. The system needs stress so the will can stand tall to fight for your own before darkness takes all. So use your own on, let your life force ignite. Protect your own field with an honorable light. Let the heartbeat of Mjölnir be strong in your chest. Direct it with Gungnir to put life to the test. And thank Loki's chaos, the truth he unveils, for the power of change that forever prevails. Feel Thor's magnetic shield that keeps all safe and sound. A true circle of power laid into the ground. Mjölnir is the rhythm, the beat of the soul. The ancestral core of Gungnir's intent takes back control. Loki's the spark who sets the whole cosmic scene. The constant disruption that keeps life so keen. Thor, the energetic life force and magnetic shield, on the breath of life, and first gift from Odin. Mijolnir, the heartbeat of all living things, the pulse within. Loki, the spark of change, the catalyst that starts it all. Gungnir, the ancestral cord, your focused will. The power is yours, my children. Take this wisdom and go!